You know, when Ariana Grande said, "I hate America," it actually made a lot of sense. To this day, I genuinely still can't believe the amount of backlash she got for saying something so benign. But then I remember how fragile Americans' egos are. With that in mind, today we're going through the r/shit Americans say subreddit, since I guess I want to get put on yet another list. This subreddit is basically just a catch-all for all the stupid and ignorant things that Americans have said, specifically regarding European countries. So, if you're a part of my faithful UK or German audience, I hope you enjoy the video. You know when you were in like primary or elementary school, and when you'd get disciplined for something, they change your card or tag or whatever you had hanging up. Everyone's name was up, right? And everyone had these cards or clothespins or whatever the fuck. And when you're in the good zone, it was green. When you're like in a warning zone, it's yellow. And when it's in red, that's like, you got to go to the office, or like, we're going to call your parents. Me hating America.
I'm the red zone.
I'm like in such a red zone, literally.
A red scare.
So I guess I just want to dig my grave deeper. I have long prided myself on being someone who hates America. Over the past couple of years since making a YouTube channel and talking about the things I have on here, I have just more and more grown to hate specifically this country, but a lot of the people in this country. Americans are some of the most individualized, annoying, ignorant, stupid, need I go on, people in the world. And that's not to say other countries don't also suck. Most countries actually do suck in some way, shape, or form. So it's not like, Germany's suddenly better. In both countries, you'll get persecuted for hating Israel. So that we have in common. Our first post is an Instagram reel. When you traveled all the way to Europe for the pizza and they don't have ranch and you have to cut it yourself. I don't know if there's a subreddit for this. Likely there is. I have said in the past that there is a subreddit for everything. I really, really mean that. There is. This should be posted in, if there isn't a subreddit like this, I'll make it. As a white person, I will make it. This should be posted in r/what white people say. I don't know what it is, white people's obsession with ranch. I don't know if that's just a me thing, that I think white people have this obsession with ranch. I think white people do have an obsession with ranch. The only thing they're allowed to season stuff with is ranch dressing for some reason. Ranch dressing, I'm not gonna say it tastes awful, but it does taste awful. It's literally just gookity gobbledygook. I don't even know what the fuck it is. That's like something a white person would say too. Gobbledygook. Bring back white people phrases. White people stop trying to use AAVE to sound cool. Just say white people stuff. Make your own culture. Oh wait, you don't have any. It's almost like the only, besides salt and pepper, it's the only thing they allow themselves to use as like a seasoning. It's not a seasoning. Well, unfortunately, they have made ranch packets of seasoning. Hidden Valley Ranch has, which honestly, that's a crime that a man could commit that's worse than genocide, easily. Hidden Valley Ranch dry seasoning packets. Guys, have you ever heard of like fucking paprika, cumin, fucking cardamom, herbs? No one's ever heard of these, ever? It's shameful. It's no surprise that this white person, it's no surprise that he feels violated, victimized, that this pizza shop in Europe doesn't have ranch for their pizza. That's like a pizza massacre. Putting ranch on it. You could put anything on pizza. I'm a firm believer that you could put anything on it. Pizza, it's a broad term for food. It's like pasta. You could literally make anything with pasta. Pizza, in its essence, right, is, some form of dough that has been crisped with, sauce or cheese on it, okay? I myself eat a lot of Greek pizza. That's not Italian pizza, but, it's a flatbread with, some sort of sauce, something on top with toppings. It's essentially pizza. So you can really put anything on pizza. I'm not someone who believes in shaming people for putting pineapple on their pizza. Who really cares? There's one thing you can't put on pizza though, it's ranch dressing. Instead of Italy worrying about stopping same-sex couples from adopting children, maybe they should worry about the white Americans who are flooding their country, okay? I am xenophobic against white Americans flooding their country and trying to put ranch on their authentic pizza. This next post was posted in r/mildly interesting. This public bathroom stall is built with actual walls and doors. How interesting. Privacy. The fact that this is mildly interesting, that this is something that is like, whoa, really? A wall with doors? Where you're doing one of the most private things you can do as a person? That's like shocking. That's sad. Why have we, like, not everyone, obviously, but why have a lot of people accepted that when you go in the bathroom and you want to go in the stall, there's just a 2-inch gap right there. Anyone could just stop and just see you with your pants down doing whatever the hell you're doing in there. I don't know. People go in the bathroom for more than just pissing and shitting, let me tell you. That someone could just walk by and just a quick glance over, they see your vagina, your dick, your cock. Maybe you've got both of them. They see them both. Why is that acceptable? And to add on to that, the noise you're making in there, I'm talking about what people can see. The worst thing in the bathroom is the sounds and the noises. The fact that you have this stall that is, you can't even really call it a stall. The fact that everyone can hear whatever you're doing in there, smell it. You're getting, anyone who walks in that bathroom is getting assaulted on all fronts with you in that stall. Because the noises people make when they're going shit, it's not pleasant. It's very hard to stay quiet if you're taking a really gnarly shit. It is. At least if you had walls, you'd be like, oh, well, there's a fan, I can turn the fan on, that kind of muffle my cries and pain. You know, at least you'd have that. You don't even have that in America. And by the way, we will never clean this bathroom either. We will never, ever clean it. The men's bathroom, we'll never clean it. You just walk in there, it's just piss and shit everywhere. It's like blood on the wall for some reason, semen in the urinal. What the fuck happened here? I don't even want to go in the bathroom anymore. This next post is something that is a common point of contention between Americans and everyone else in the world, actually. And that is imperial units versus metric. So let's read this tweet. Americans saw water freeze at 0 degrees Celsius and said, let's make that 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Europeans saw a guy who was 6 feet tall and said, let's make that 1.89 meters. See how fucking stupid you sound? The argument in this quote retweet isn't valid in any way, shape, or form. Because you can do this with any unit of measurement, right? You know, Americans saw 1,000 kilometers and decided to make that, however much that fucking is in feet, you know, 3,289 feet. See how fucking stupid you sound? The guy who originally tweeted this is just trying to make a joke, and then what coffee lovers, Tony Hawk Truther, whatever the fuck this Twitter account is, decided to quote retweet this and just be immediately aggressive. The Celsius system does make more sense. 0 degrees is freezing, 100 degrees is boiling. I've talked about this before in another Reddit video. I don't even know what I say. I make so many of these videos. I don't know what video this was, but I talked about this before. For I think maybe a year and a half, I've had my phone temperature in Celsius because I thought to myself, if I go north, cross the Canadian border, which I'm not that far away from, if I go north and cross into that, I might have no fucking idea what these people are talking about. It's gonna be like 25 degrees Celsius. I'm gonna be like, what the fuck's that mean? I go anywhere else in the world, I'm gonna be like, huh? And then I realized how ridiculous that is. How like isolated Americans are in the way literally everything in this country works, let alone the fact that our units of measurement of everything is different from 99% of the rest of the world. That's insane. Now I understand Celsius. I don't know the exact conversion because why do I need to know that? But I do know what it means now, you know, and it does make more sense. Every person who grows up American automatically has no idea what fucking meters mean, what centimeters, what liters are. Be forewarned. I'm pretty sure I have another post saved that's also about metric and imperial units. I have more to say on that, okay? This next one is a real doozy. So at the top, it says the political spectrum. Let me just, before I show you this picture, there is no up and down, there's just left and right. Which if you know anything about politics, even just the bare minimum, you don't have to be a political scientist to know this. It's impossible to measure people's political beliefs just on a horizontal scale. It's not just like, you know, Democrats are not just on the left, right? They're really not, but you know, Democrats aren't just on the left and Republicans are just on the right. Some of them have more, you know, conservative values. Others have more authoritarian values. On the left, we have tyranny. This is so wrong on so many levels. This is really funny. All the way on the left is communism, and then fascism is all the way on the left. A monarchy is socialist. Democrats are liberal. Well, that I can agree with you on. Moderate is USA. And then all the way, we have libertarian, and then all the way on the right, we have anarchy and mob. I don't know. People have this idea that all Republicans or conservatives or whatever, they're all like immediately like laissez-faire, whatever the fuck, right? That they don't like any government intervention. They do. They just like the government intervention that they like. Right? Republicans are not by virtue of being Republican, just like anarchists. They're just like, well, let's have a fucking free-for-all. Actually, they like the police a lot. They like law and order a lot. Most people who I know who would identify as anarchists, they're also like leftist, which again, is why you need an up and down. You need a y-axis, okay? Americans who are Republican think that they're like against the status quo. You are the status quo. You're not like a rebellious person by any means. You are the person we rebel against. Okay, this next one is a Facebook post. There is no good reason why cashiers shouldn't be allowed to sit, right? Logical reasoning behind that, because it's not inhibiting your job to sit down and scan items. But someone decides to, whatever it is on Facebook, quote Facebook this, quote book this? I have no fucking idea. And they say,
"Ah, yes, let's promote laziness and pay people who want to be lazy more money."
the relationship that any capitalist country, which is most of them, but the relationship that Americans specifically have with work is so toxic and disgusting. The old, like, notions of how work is just, it's so outdated. A job is a job, right? If you're doing something, you should get paid for it. Like, there's a need for every kind of worker ever, right? There's a need for doctors. Everyone will always need doctors. There's a need for people who do service jobs. There's a need for artists. There's a need for X, Y, or Z. Literally anything that you're getting paid to do, you're getting paid to do because you're working and you're doing a job. You deserve to get paid that so you could live and exist in a world where you need that money to live and exist. You don't need to be like working with a fucking oil rig. Like, I'm gonna fucking turn this oil rig around. I'm covered in mud and slush. Me and my boys were naked, covered in mud and slush. Just a day on the job, okay? You don't need to do that to deserve to get paid money to live. It's disgusting and it's deplorable, this idea that people have that, like, sitting down means your job is less valuable. I just don't think people realize the amount of, well, people don't realize this because people, specifically Americans, but just human beings in general, unfortunately, are just so unwilling to actually literally put themselves in someone else's shoes, to empathize with another person and consider their experiences. Everyone's just so unwilling to do that. So it's not surprising that people don't realize that people who work service jobs have a hard time doing that, because you have to interact with hundreds of people on a day-to-day basis. That's exhausting. You have to put on a happy smile the whole shift. You have to interact with these people. You have to make conversation with them, a bunch of random people. Like, I don't think people realize how exhausting that is to interact with people on that level. Sitting down doesn't make you lazy. And not working also doesn't make you lazy. It's just a way to put down people who are poor, and a way to diminish the poor and make fun of them and say, well, you haven't done enough, that's why you're poor. It's just the same old, same old. It's fucking pathetic. So the next one is some comments on a Reddit post. I just want to say, wherever this subreddit, what? Wherever this was posted, the subreddit this was posted in, the people in there must really like America. Because the guy who was the voice of reason got downvoted. I hate Reddit. Like, I get downvotes, I get upvotes, but there's something so embarrassing about saying something that logically makes a lot of sense, but just everyone in that community just, like, downvotes you because they're just, like, stupid. It's like, it's actually very painful for my ego. So, a bad day in America beats a good day just about anywhere else. That just about is doing a lot of lifting. Other first world countries exist. Are they back-to-back World War champions? What? Okay, first of all, a bad day in America beats a good day just about anywhere else. No, it doesn't. A bad day in America is like, I'm considering taking the guns that I own and arranging them in a very elegant fashion so that they all blow my brains out at the same exact time when I pull one trigger. You know, obviously it goes without saying that there's obviously things I like about this country that I prefer over other countries. If we're talking about how this country affects me personally, I don't like it. If we're talking about how this country affects other people in the world, it's the bottom of all countries on this planet. It's the worst of the worst. It is the Imperial Empire, okay? There's obviously other countries, like this person replied and got downvoted for. There's obviously other countries that are on the same scale of America and actually better in what they do, in their millions of richness of dollars, in the way that they treat their citizens. Other countries that are, I don't know, less off than us. Well, they're less off because of us. Obviously, if you were to compare us with the countries that we exploit so that we have all of our privileges, yeah, a good day there would probably be worse than here. Yeah, it's because we exploit them so that we have privileges, so that I can go to Walmart and have everything at my fingertips, okay? I just can't wrap my head around the other. What wars did we win? Wait, the world wars that we fought in, they weren't even about us. Like, they were not even about, they weren't even happening on the continents that America's on. How are we a victory because, like, Hitler killed himself? How is that our victory? They're back-to-back war rape champions, that's for sure. I don't know where this next tweet I'm about to read came from, but, like, the usernames are bleeped out. I don't know why they did that to the first person, because the first person is very clearly Neil deGrasse Tyson, famous astrophysicist. So, anonymous person who somehow looks a lot like Neil deGrasse Tyson tweets, European colonial history in 6 words. Is that yours? It's mine now. Okay. Yeah, that's funny, okay. Someone with a bald eagle with an American flag behind it for their profile picture replies, Americans would never do this. We save nations, not destroy them. Buddy. Alright, the next one's related to our measurement units. Not necessarily welding related, but for those of you not in the United States, who is the metric system. When you say how much gas you have left in your car, do you say, oh, I only have a quarter tank of gas left? Or do you say, oh, I only have 6.5 millimeters of gas left? I think I've proved my point as to which measurement system is the far superior one. Millimeters are units of length. It's liters. And it's actually really not that hard to understand if you took like a physics class. I happened to take 2 years of physics in high school, so you could say that I'm like the next Stephen Hawking. You know, everything, the great thing about the metric system is everything's like by tens. You know, a kilometer is 1,000 meters, right? So everything's neat instead of how many feet are in a mile, which I can't even name off the top of my head. Because why would you measure things by a mile and then have feet in them? 5,300 whatever the fuck feet. So it's a number nobody can remember. Okay. And then the feet it's 36 inches, I think. And then the inches are like quarters and eighths. It just doesn't make any sense. I think the only point you proved is how stupid Americans are. By the way, I'm guessing that European cars, not like that are imported here. I meant cars actually in Europe, made for Europe. I'm sure that the way the gas tank works is it's like full, and then, you know, fractions exist in other countries too. So I'm sure it goes from full to 3/4, half, quarter, empty. And by the way, the liters make so much more sense than, can we talk about the gallon man? If you grew up in America, you probably had to learn the gallon man. Okay, if you're not from America, you're hearing me say that right now, you're probably like, pardon? When we were young children, we had to learn about the gallon man, which is like a male body. His head is the shape of a G, and then he's got, I don't even remember what it's like 4 quarts in a gallon. Okay, so this is how this is imperial units, okay? 4 quarts in a gallon. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 quarts. So there'd be Q's in his head, and then there's like, whatever, how many pints in a quart. There's like 4 pints in a quart or whatever. And then there's 2 cups in a pint. That, we had to learn it based on this fucking Venn diagram of a guy who's got a gallon for his head. Why? That is so much more convoluted than just, well, there's this many milliliters in a liter. This is posted in the Italian subreddit. Found out I'm 19% Italian. I always knew I was mostly German, but more on everyone in their fucking muda is German in America. So it's nice to be one of y'all. Or should I say us? Godzilla had a fucking stroke reading this because I have no idea what that just said. Sopranos was my favorite show, so it makes sense. Marone! Edit. Damn. Didn't realize y'all would be so hostile. Obviously, if you're posting about, well, I love this mafia mob boss show, obviously, people who are actually from Italy are going to be a little annoyed by that. So I think this person was trying to get a rise out of these people. And I think I have another post that ties into this, so I'll probably rant. I'll save some of my rant for that one, okay? White Americans, because of how they were homogenized when they immigrated to America from their European countries, because of how homogenized whiteness has become, listen, this is a whole other topic for a whole other video. In order to put down other races, the people who are from Europe, who have white skin, right? They needed to be homogenized. Italians. Were Italians really white? Are Italians really white? Irish people are obviously, they're white, but Irish people have faced vast amounts of oppression. Are they really white? You know what I'm saying? Whiteness is this thing that really only exists in like America, you know, maybe like Canada, obviously. But like, obviously if you're from a European country, you're German, right? No one's like, sure, the color of your skin is white, but you don't fit into that homogenized culture that really only exists in America. Because again, in order to put down these other races, you had to homogenize all of these European countries, get rid of all their separate individualized cultures that actually mean something, make them all this one race, white race, that can oppress and be the white supremacist of another race, right? So a lot of Americans really need to cling. They do like ancestry results, and they really cling to what their results get them, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But don't act like you're like actually from this country when you're not. In Finland, the cost of a speeding ticket is determined by your income. In 2002, a Nokia executive got a ticket for $103,000 for going 45 in a 30 zone. Someone replies, "Sounds like socialism to me." Well, yes, because that makes more sense. Owners of capital in America are so afraid of the working class developing a consciousness and actually realizing that they deserve rights, that they make the capital. They're so afraid of that America had to create an entire Red Scare to scare people away from socialism and communism. Because if you make everyone afraid of the thing that would give them more rights, well, then no one will want those rights. In no world should someone who makes way more money than someone else ever pay the same amount for a punishment, like any sort of punishment. In no world does that ever make sense. If you have a brain that thinks logically, that doesn't make sense. But if your brain is painted red, and you're like, communist China. If you're just like that all the time, you're like literally have worms in your brain like fucking Robert F. Kennedy. Of course, you're gonna be like,
well, this rich person deserves the exact same rights as I do, even though he's exploiting me to get all that money. We should just be treated like equals.
I learned that in Europe when locals asked where I was from and said Minnesota, USA. Turns out they don't know where that is, and I had to start saying on the border of Canada before they get an idea where I'm from.
it does make sense that Europeans don't know where every US state is. Yes, this is coming from an America centralized point of view. What's the joke about alien movies? There's like an alien invasion. Oh God, and it's like America. Well, what the fuck's happening in fucking Uganda? You know, what's going on down there? Aliens don't want to touch them. No, they're black people. I guess the aliens are racist too. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing for someone from Europe to know where US states are. That goes for Americans too. I think it's literally pathetic that Americans, you give a blank map of Europe, they can't even point out where fucking Germany is. I completely understand that Europeans, you know, someone from fucking Poland doesn't need to know where fucking Rhode Island is. Because the United States is an entire country. You know, it's not like I'm gonna learn every province of whatever country. However, that being said, I do think that people should know geography. I think it is a valuable skill. It's no surprise that they don't know where the countries are in Asia, Africa, and South America because they hate people of color. But most Americans whom I know, if you gave them a blank map of the United States and all the states, right? They could not tell you where each state was or what each state was. They could not do it. Their own country, they don't even know where the states are. To prove to all of you Europeans watching that I do know geography, I'm gonna take a European geography test right now. Click on Sweden. Click on Latvia. Click on Croatia. And I know that's down here. Is it that one? Nope. Nope. North Macedonia. Nope. Nope. Yep, I knew that. All right, well, it turns out I'm not that great at European geography.
I was born and raised here in the US, in Boston. My mother is Native American, and my father is... How much money you want to bet that that's not true? And my father is 1/3 Irish. His father was from Munster country in Ireland. I'm proud to be Irish. Someone replies, Munster is a province that is the flag of something I cannot pronounce, and you are not Irish, you are Irish American. And I don't know. I fully believe the person who replied is correct. I don't know what they're saying, but I believe that they're correct. But this is where I wanted to continue my rant from earlier about white people needing a culture. Okay. I believe that it is a very, very important and valuable thing to actually learn where your family is from when they immigrated to the US, because we are all immigrants, and to connect to that culture in some way, shape, or form. I think it's so funny how white Americans, because they want a culture so bad, they'll take like an ancestry test and they'll just grasp onto whatever they get. They're like, oh, well, I'm a 10th fucking, German, so I guess I'm German now. What's the other 9/10 of you? What? White people really only try to squeeze out as much as they can of their European ancestry if they don't have any, like, people of color ancestry, right? Because if a white person is like, they have like 1% Native American, they're like, this one person, 6,000 people removed from me was Native American like 300 years ago. So I'm Native American, And then they just start doing like smudging ceremonies and stuff, and it's like Elizabeth Warren, anyone. And I say that if I got my ancestry done, I got my ancestry back, and it said that I was like something East Asian, I would cultural appropriate all day and night, baby. Let me tell you. What's the first thing you would do if you were to become financially free today? If out of nowhere you became financially free right now, what's the first thing you're doing? There are so many things on this list. It would literally take me the whole rest of this video to list them. But that's besides the point. The real point of contention is the reply under this. Get myself and my kids to a safe country. And someone replies, lives in the safest country in the world. Okay, bro. Are you stupid? Lives in the safest country in the world where we had to do school shooting drills. And I know that's an easy scapegoat. Lives in the safest country in the world where if you are a pedestrian on the road and a giant car mauls you and kills you or paralyzes you for the rest of your life, you're getting blamed. Lives in the safest country in the world, yet literally every marginalized background is persecuted. Lives in the safest country in the world, but maternity leave is like a month and a half. Lives in the safest country in the world, but everyone at most gets 14 days off out of a 365 work year. The amount of propaganda
that we as Americans have been fed our entire lives. Americans, the amount of propaganda, it's like a fire hose. You know, it's like your skin is like, it's so powerful that our skin it's literally ripped. It's like we're getting a free facial. It's ripped off and then we gotta pick it up off the floor, like a Laura Loomer. Then we gotta like plop it back on. It's like, oh my God, I feel young again. Except we will never feel young. I think the only reason that we're propagated as a safe country is because we just brutalize every other country. So because we spend way more money on the military the industrial complex than we do anything that actually benefits us, everyone who's brainwashed is just like, well, we're safe.
You know, we have the Marines who train a lot and can kill people, so we're safe.
I'm not safe. My Medicaid isn't safe. People who leave their phones set to military time are fucking war criminals. How do you look at 1605 and go,
well, I can understand that.
Fucking bootlickers, what's next? You gonna go join the army? Recruit me? Well, yes, that's exactly what people in America do. When I was in school and they had career day, half of the careers available to us, which, you know, I was an underprivileged area, but, you know, half of the careers available to us were joining America's imperial regime. So yeah, people do that. So I don't know where you're coming from with that, but Americans be like, okay, I can't count past 12 actually. This is the one side of the debate. I'm on the American side. Okay, listen to me. I understand that there's 24 hours in a day and you're going by the 24 hours. You know, it gets to 12 o'clock and then it's 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and so on, right? I understand logically that makes more sense, but it doesn't make sense. I'm sorry, maybe I'm stupid, call me stupid. I don't want to look at my clock when it's 3 p.m. and have it say 16. 15. This one scares me. Okay, Celsius was an easier switch. This one scares me. Maybe the next thing is I switch to military time on my phone. I don't know if I can do that though. I do not know if I can handle it. I'm going to be honest with you all. Been through a lot of my life. This might be the one thing I cannot handle. It just doesn't compute with me. You know, the 16th hour of the day is 4 p.m. That's not right. It's 4 o'clock. Okay, our next one, this was posted 5 years ago in the heightest of the height of COVID. This woman on the left is wearing an American flag tank top. It says social distancing equals communism. There's a parallel on the right. These white people, I'm assuming, you know, around Jim Crow, race mixing is communism. Stop the race mixing. March of the Anarchist, I'm assuming. Americans literally think everything is communism. There is a decent portion of Americans who, when you describe something that is socialist or communist in essence, they'll probably nod along with you if they don't know that that's like a socialist or communist theory. They'll probably be like, yeah, I think that makes sense, whatever that may be. You know, you insert your example here. There's the people who they don't actually understand what communism or socialism is, but when they hear it in concept, they like it a lot. Then there's the other people who are like these people. They don't know what communism is, but they think anything that isn't like, I don't know, 9 to 5, fucking working in the dumps, getting paid $10 an hour. You're poor, you'll never ever succeed in life because you're poor, and then Jeff Bezos gets another $1 billion added to his belt. Anything that's against like that system, they immediately think is communism. Or anything against their individuality, immediately they think is communism. Even if that thing isn't actually communism or socialist or whatever, they'll just call anything communism. Free public libraries, $100. I'm not gonna fact check this right now. $100 that someone at some point in time, an American, has said that free public libraries are communism. Having access to free books is communism. I bet $100. Those are the two groups of Americans. Well, besides the ones who are like actual communists or whatever, right? The ones who don't understand it but are willing to in concept, and the ones who don't understand it and call everything communism. There's no in between. There really isn't. This one's a good one. Healthcare isn't a human right. I'm not paying the bill for some turd that habitually abuses their own body and uses EMS like it's a taxi service. No, Bernie, no. This country is going to collapse. I'm betting $100 within the five years is likely. The lack of empathy, basic empathy that people have for others is actually so sickening. I will never stop talking about it. Here's the thing. First of all, this doesn't happen. Most people are not purposefully abusing their bodies. So there aren't a lot of people who actually do that. Second of all, no one is using the emergency services like as a taxi service, because there's only one place it'll take you, and it's to the hospital. And if you actually don't have insurance, that's the one place you don't want to go, is in an ambulance, especially, and then to the hospital. So I don't know where he's getting this information from, but oh wait, not from anywhere, because it's not real. Even if suddenly everyone got free healthcare and then everyone was just smoking 3 packs a day, fucking getting blasted out, wasted every fucking night, you know, eating fucking living off a diet of ice cream and fucking ding dongs. Even if that started happening, everyone started calling the ambulance all the time, which again, this wouldn't fucking happen. It is still their right to get medical care and not go into debt for it. This is like this perfect victim mentality. This extends so far beyond domestic abuse or whatever kind of abuse, so far beyond that. If people aren't the moral, whatever, the moral grand standards of society, in whatever way someone is defining that, which everyone defines it fucking differently, if they aren't that, then they don't deserve to have a house. They don't deserve to have money, so that they don't deserve to have nice things. They don't deserve to have fucking healthcare. They don't deserve to have nice teeth. They don't deserve to have fucking contacts. They don't deserve any of this stuff if they're not what I define as like a good person. That's so sick, it's not even funny. And then this extends further beyond America, of course. This extends way further beyond America. It extends to nations in the Middle East. It extends third world countries or whatever, where the way that those people live or whatnot, they're not my morality or whatever, so they deserve to just die. This was posted today, and I was scrolling through Reddit this morning while I was eating my fucking bagel because I have a sickness in my mind. And I saw it, and I'm like, you know what? I'll save it, and I'll talk about it today. POV, the cops at your school sit on lifeguard chairs to watch for fights at lunch. And there's a cop, indeed sitting on a lifeguard chair in front of the Snapple machine. This isn't normal, and it shouldn't be accepted. It's a high school. An armed person of any kind should not go anywhere even near a high school. When I was in high school, there are some mornings where I'd go in there and the police would just be fucking gallivanting in the front of the high school just for funsies. Or I'd walk in the front door and a cop would be there, and that shit bothered the fuck out of me. Because it's not right that I should go into school and have a cop there. No, I don't feel protected by them. And I think a lot of people feel this way. I feel vastly, vastly more unsafe when there are police around. If I had to go to lunch, well, first of all, I was a band kid, so I ate lunch in the band room all the time. Band power, okay? But if I ever was at school and there was a cop in the lunchroom, I think I'd stop coming to school. In what world do you need an armed officer to stop a fight between students at lunch? There's no, I don't care where it is, if it's in a poor, violent area. There's no need for this. And that's where I'm gonna end the video. Comment down below what you thought of this video. Do you have any hot takes about Americans? If you're from Europe, I would be especially intrigued to hear your opinions on this video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you like me, you can subscribe. I post videos about whatever I feel like talking about. So if that sounds like your thing, make sure to subscribe and turn on your notification bell so you know when I post a video. I'd like to give a shout out to my Patreon members who are part of my Alpha and Delta tiers. Thank you so much to Olivia Schutt, Dallas Andrade, and Emberly McCullough. I really appreciate your continued support. It means the world to me. Thank you so much to all my patrons. If you want to become a patron, link will be down below. I just recently posted an exclusive video for all my $5 and above Patreon members where I went through my favorite albums of all time. So if you want to hear more about that, check out my Patreon. Well, that being said, I really hope you all enjoy this video, but more importantly, I really hope I see you in the next video. You'll be there, right? Right. Bye-bye.